Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here for another week of Daily D&T. Thank you to for supporting this week of Daily D&T. In all seriousness, I'm recording this video ahead of time in the hopes that somebody supports Daily D&T for the week of December 30th. And if they don't, this will end up just being sort of a D&T set that ends up in the queue for a bit later on. So I decided, hey, why don't we play something a little bit crazy for today's daily D&T and do a green splash. I hear Veil of Summer is a pretty great card, so how about we shove that into a D&T deck list and see if it's good here. Choking people recently has also seemed like a pretty good idea. It's not foolproof in that it still has some problems, but I feel like jamming a bunch of powerful enchantments right now is a really good thing to do. So in the main deck, we're going to have a couple Noble Hierarchs to help accelerate out some things like Aven Mind Sensor and Thalia Heretic Cathar that are pretty good if you put them out ahead of schedule. We're going to have a Tireless Tracker for some endgame inevitability, Knight of Autumn for some flexibility. To fit in these additional cards, I have trimmed the Umezawa's Jitte from the main deck and moved to the sideboard. I've trimmed on Flicker Wisps a bit. I've trimmed Rishadan Ports for additional copies of Horizon Canopy, because if we have a little bit of extra mana acceleration, then we probably want the ability to cycle our mana a little bit later on in the game. This is something that I just crafted up in a few minutes to just see, hey, is this sort of strategy viable? And now I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm going, Ramunap Activator would be kind of sweet, and there's plenty of other things you can do with this, but let's just go ahead and jump in with this deck list, see how it performs. I don't think you really need to be splashing right now, but, when I'm recording these daily D&T deck lists, a lot of times I'm not playing the most optimal deck list. I'm trying to, show off ideas and strategies and cool cards, because I think that's worth a lot in terms of content production, What is it like if you do this thing you shouldn't do? What are the implications of that? So that's kind of what I'm trying to do today. Where'd we go? We're over here. Keep. Note that on multiple fetch land hands, if you end up wanting to play this version of the deck, you want to lead on a Marsh Flats first before a Windswept Heath, because Windswept Heath can get Forest if that's something you want to do. My opponent has molted 5, so that makes me a little bit nervous. They're just Reanimator and turn 1 me or something. It kind of sucks. Oh, man, Eldrazi on a molt. Oh, no. We are going to be playing against a colorless combo deck. So we're going to be playing against Mystic Forge combo. So they can use Manifold Key to go and untap things like Grim Monolith. Boo! Walking Ballista, boo! This should hopefully keep the Walking Ballista from getting out of control, though. And depending on how patient our opponent is, we might get a Flicker Wisp blowout. No. Rip. Goodbye, Ether Vial. We'll just give our creature vigilance. Our opponent knows we have another Ether Vial, so no need to get cute there. Thalia Heretic Cathar, apparently doing some great work for mucking with all of my opponent's stuff. Let's say always no to that. Nice. Blast Zone is really too slow to do anything that matters. Like, I just kill my opponent in 2 hits, so they could, like, put a counter on it, and it doesn't matter. I guess if they draw a Soul Land, it matters. So I'll still kill it. And I guess I'll play it. No, I'll hold it in case my opponent is playing, like, Reality Smashers or something. It just, like, does nothing right now. This is my opponent's chance to do something big, scary, and annoying, and all his dust would really suck. Nice tapped Thought-Knots there. Alright, thank you, Thalia Heretic Cathar. Alright, most of our cards aren't really doing a ton here. So Council's Judgment seems fine, Path to Exile seems fine. Things like Jitte and Gideon are things that I could play to fill out slots, but I don't know if they're actually good. Other runes absolutely can get out of here. That's not going to do anything. And the rest of this stuff really seems fine. I guess Prelate is kind of medium. Let's pull that. You have to play this weird guessing game of what am I actually supposed to name with that. I guess I can play it on turn 2, though. And if I play it on turn 2, I just put it on 4 to stop, like, Dynamo, Karn. I could trim on the number of Source of Plowshares that I'm playing for some of this other mid-rangey stuff, too. Because my opponent is going to have some creatures. Probably not a ton. Like, since they're playing more acceleration, they're probably playing the real big stuff. Maybe let's trim a couple of those. And just play these. We'll be taking a mulligan on this one. While this hand answers the first 2 threats, it doesn't really do anything other than that. This hand also doesn't do anything. I need to throw back 2 of these cards, so I'm just going to throw back a Vial and a Flicker Wisp, since like doing this at not instant speed probably isn't going to be great. So this is going to give me the possibility of like wasting my opponent on turn 1, followed by like Knight of Autumn into, or sorry, Noble Hierarch into Knight of Autumn. Well, bottoming that Flicker Wisp feels a little bad now. So we'll just play the Knight of Autumn naturally on turn 3. Well, turn 4, hopefully. Warping Whale? Warping Whale. Ugh. Yeah. I don't think I want to take a redraw on this Horizon Canopy. I think the ability to cast a top deck Flicker Wisp, for example, is much more important than just getting another card out of this. Yeah, there's Karn. So you're just going to get Lattice with that. Just coding, blow up a land. Well, port a land and then blow it up on following turns. Yeah, we're not beating this. Alright, do I want to change anything about how I've boarded? I don't really think so. Like, I could make an argument for more copies of, like, Swords of Plowshares or bringing in Jitte, but I think having 2 pieces of equipment is totally fine. Given that my opponent is a Karn deck. I don't have the mana denial that I would like, but I have Aether Vial and a ton of endgame here, so I think I have to keep this one. Oh wow, opponent is mulliganing hyper aggressively with this deck. So next turn I can cast Recruiter and put a 2-drop into play. Yeah, that's fine. I will just Swords to Plowshares that so my opponent doesn't get value out of that. Like, I trade a card for a card, and my opponent opts to take the life rather than ping me here. So I could just Prelate on 4 and stop my opponent from casting Planeswalkers or Dynamos or things of that nature. Or I can get Thalia or Stoneforge here instead. I think I'm fine with that. A Sorcerer's Spyglass from my opponent here would be pretty annoying. I don't want to take infinite damage off of this pair of Horizon Canopies. We could try to ride the Flickerous like Recruiter value train, but I think it's better to just deny my opponent mana. So much damage. So the reason why I'm willing to just do this and dump all of these bodies onto the board is because if my opponent goes and plays something like an All Is Dust, I get to bounce my Thalia and still be the Monarch, and I think that's totally fine. So, like, this is obviously very good. But if I just keep drawing a card every turn while they're, you know, very much in danger of dying to their own Ancient Tombs, I think that's okay. I don't know that there's any difference between which one of these I go and destroy. So I probably need to play out 2 cards here. So that my opponent can't just minus. Oh, see, this is the fear. All right. I'm gonna take a redraw here. That's not bad. All right, this one can't kill my creatures. Oh, no, it can. There are 2 1-drop removal spells in the deck to draw towards. I don't think I'm going to leave up mana hoping that I spike one of those. So I don't believe I actually have Revokers in this shell. This can hit me too when it pluses, right? Yeah. And now my opponent has enough mana where they won't need to tap these Ancient Tombs. It's a little unfortunate. Jeez. I can recruit her for a 2-drop. I can recruit her for Stoneforge Mystic, get Batterskull, Stoneforge dies, I play Batterskull. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be good enough. Womp womp. I'll be back tomorrow.